And good evening. My name is Victor Law. This is another edition of Gubernatorial Debate coming to you live from Rongo University from Migori County. What an amazing show that we have lined up for you. It's an amazing kind of a county. We are bordering Kisii County, Homa Bay County, but most importantly, we are bordering Tanzania. Now we have got 9 candidates who are vying for this particular post, but so far we have got 7 who have responded to our invitation. Just to make it clear that this invitation was extended to all the 9 candidates who are going to be vying for this particular event. Now, with 32 days to go, Migori County has got a population of around 1.1 million numbers in terms of population. That is as per 2019 census. And these particular contestants will be vying for the gubernatorial seat of this particular county. Now, the rules of this kind of debate is going to be simple. To the audience, no clapping, no cheering, no booing. Today is the date for the contestants to talk to the entire nation, not the Migori people alone. So give them time to respond to the questions that they will be asked by the moderators. But before then, I have got my able colleague Nancy Okware to give us a feel and an expectation on what we should expect from the other side of the audience. Nancy, hujambo?
Naam, si jambo Victor, na shukran sana. Bila shaka mtazamaji, leo hii tumetua hapa katika kaunti ya Migori, na katika pilka zangu nimefunzwa ya kwamba salamu kwa lugha ya Dholuo ni idhinade, na kisha kwa lugha ya Kikuria unasema amangana. Hivyo basi mtazamaji, shukran sana, karibu kwenye kipindi hiki. Kumbuke ya kwamba tunawapa wale watazamaji ile fursa, na vile wale ambao wamewasili hapa fursa ya kuuliza maswali kwa wale wawaniaji ambao wamewasili. Kumbuke ya kwamba ikiwa uko pale nyumbani usitie shaka, manake kwenye mitandao ya kijamii tutakuwa tunachukua tu baadhi ya maswali. Kwenye Twitter utatupata @KBC Channel 1, @Nancy Okware, @Victor Olo. Kumbuke ya kwamba hashtag ya kutumia leo hii ni Migori Decides. Lakini kwa sasa hivi na urejeshe usukani kwake Victor Olo.
Very well. So much for joining us once again. This is Migori gubernatorial debate. We have got 7 candidates who are eyeing for this particular position, but to say that this invitation was extended to all the 9 contestants. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. Now, the rule of the debate is simple. You'll be given 2 minutes each to respond to the questions asked, and then you'll be given another 1 minute for a rebuttal if you have got to respond to either or one of your contestant or your competitor. You'll be given 1 minute to respond to that. Now, we'll be dealing in 4 thematic areas. We'll be dealing with matters education, health, security, lastly, most importantly, agriculture. We'll be dealing with those 4 thematic areas. I repeat, education, health, economy, agriculture. There we have it. So, with me, I have got 7 contestants. Let me start by introducing Byron Oginga of LDP. Byron, just wave to the audience. Thank you so much. Next to him, I have got Philip Mwabe, an independent candidate. Welcome, sir. Next to him, I have got Honorable Dalmas Otieno, who is vying on the Jubilee ticket. Thank you so much for joining us. And the first lady, right in the middle, is Rebecca Gatti Maroa of UDA Party. Karibu. Next to Maroa is John Dache Pesa of DAPK. Karibu sana mheshimiwa. The second lady in the panel today is Jane Maronga of UPIA Party. Thank you so much. And finally, I have got Honorable Ochilo Ayako of ODM. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And to the members of the audience, kindly keep calm. You are embarrassing your candidate if you shout. Kindly keep calm. This show is watched by all Kenyans. Thank you. Now let me start with you, Byron. The first thematic area is of education. And education is the equalizer. All of you have passed through that process. But let me start with you first of all. Why do you want to be the governor of Migori County?
First of all, I'm motivated to a great extent by the failures of some of the contenders who are with me on this podium. And it is also within my dream as a young man to start the nation building at this tender age. so that we get it right into Vision 2030 and even beyond. So am I allowed to go to education?
No. Why do you want to be the governor? I'll come back.
I want to be the governor of Migori County, not only to transform lives, but to put a blueprint that will serve this county for years to come. And that's why in my party, Liberal Democratic Party, amongst us here, I'm the only person whose party motto says sustainable development. And sustainable development comes with quality service delivery, and that is what is ailing Migori County. And as a young man, I'm going to account for all the resources coming to Migori County so that none of it is lost through scrupulous deals of corruption. So I think I'm the best candidate to serve as the second governor of Migori County.
Thank you so much. That is a precise introduction. Mr. Philip Mwabe, why do you want to be the governor? We have place to go.
My name is Philip Mwabe. I want to be the governor of Migori because I believe Migori has a great potential to develop. Migori, if you look at it, borders Masai Mara on the left. We border Tanzania on the land border, and we border almost all the 3 East African countries on the lake border, which means, and then resources, we have the gold potential, we have sugarcane, and we have all the forms of agriculture. In terms, if we can inspire Migori can feed itself, Migori can export almost everything, and not only that, we can also bring in manufacturing in Migori to export to our neighbors, because almost everything exported into Tanzania, Mwanza area, passes through Migori, and we can just duplicate it here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And to you, Honorable Dalmas Otieno, why do you want to be the governor of this particular county?
I think I already mentioned about the industrialization projects I would propose to do in our county to enhance employment opportunities for our youth. But let me mention that I would also like to continue some of the things I've been doing. I think I'm the only person who has a record for sponsoring students through education. This I started in 1985, and by 1989, I had 88 students I was sponsoring through secondary schools, from Form 1 up to Form 4. Thereafter, I started taking up students in higher, right through up to university, up to master's degree, up to PhD. And I'm a proud sponsor who has a PhD student I sponsored in America who is working for NASA, the US Strategic Defense Authority against Russia. It's a Kenyan, and you can't believe, a Kenyan from Rongo and in Kabuoro.
Right.
I also would like to continue what I try to listen if any of my colleagues would mention, that when I'm developing a school, I do not just register a secondary school. I build secondary schools. When I went to Kwe and found 8 mud classrooms, I built all 8 classrooms plus a common room plus a head teacher's office. I also want to mention that where I discovered that our youth had bad habits, either they were fighting or even stealing. I have a good example in Awendo. I interviewed 12 of them, decided who to be reformed, took some for technical training, employed others, and stealing ended in Awendo at that time. I believe in planning and working my plans. And I would like this to be a habit in our county. In other words, we think first with a clear vision.
Thank you.
And after that,
thank you,
we develop a plan and then work that plan, each of us in unison until we all succeed to deliver on the services to our people.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's a good point. Audience, kindly maintain your calm. To Rebecca, you are among the ladies, 2 of you, but let me start with you. Why would you want to be the governor of Migori County?
Thank you. My name is Rebecca Gati Maroa. I want to be the governor for Migori County because I want to break the bias that has existed, I think, since creation. I happen to come from a minority from this county government, and I want to break that bias and seal the gap, right, or the gender gap that has existed in this county. When I talk about gender, I mean all the special interest groups. I want to bring a paradigm shift in leadership whereby I want to consider the youth because I even have a very youthful deputy governor. I also want to consider and ensure that education sector which has been devolved, that is ECD centers and the VTCs, are put to operational. Another thing I want to ensure that is taken care of in this county government is the agriculture sector, which all of us know that Migori is very productive, but we do not have enough food to eat. I borrow a lot from my manifesto, my party manifesto, which is bottom-up economic model. I also want to ensure that I empower the youth and the have-nots and the people living with disability to ensure that they also come up to a cadre that is considerable as human beings.
All right. Thank you so much. That's a good brief introduction. And Honorable John Pesa, amongst the ladies and gentlemen here, what makes you think that you should be the governor of Migori County, and why?
Thank you. Well, I think we all know that there are certain problems that need to be addressed in Migori. One of these is peace. We need to create peace in Migori. We need to create unity in Migori so that all of us coexist. That is number one. Number two, we want a leader that will lead by example. A leader that will walk the talk. So
right.
When you tell people to do anything, you also do it. From my past record, I want to say here that I have managed to bring peace wherever I worked. I've been a principal of 4 institutions. I have been a member of parliament for Migori. I have been a lover of football, whereby I participated by being the second vice of Gor Mahia in 2 terms. And in all those places, I feel I did a good work for those people. Migori today needs peace. Migori needs to make sure that all the potentials we have are exploited, and they cannot be exploited if leaders are not creating unity and being united.
Thank you so much. And next to you is Jen Moronga. You're only 2 ladies, but what makes you think that you'll beat all the contestants for you to be the governor of Migori County, and why would you want to be the governor?
I'm Jen Moronga. I'm a part of UPA and not
Right.
Now, there are things that have made me feel like Migori needs a change. First and foremost, I come from a community that practices FGM, and for girls who do not go, who usually don't go through the cut, they are seen like they are outcasts. So in my place, I've started a rescue center where I'm having about 20 girls who are not going through the cut, and I'm finding it to be really going back. In the rescue center, I'm also having some, actually I have 2 girls who became expectant while in school. And usually when this happens, the girls are forced to get into early marriages. So I felt like I needed this space so that I can cater for such girls who find themselves in such peculiar conditions.
Okay.
I have also started a home for the elderly. I know people will not want to understand exactly how this comes in to assist. We have people who are needy and poor.
Yes.
Some of them are even women who never gave birth in life. So in their old age, you find that they find themselves in very peculiar positions. So in my small way, I have also started a small home for the elderly where I'm actually having 6 women that I'm keeping. And I want to believe when given this chance, I'll extend it to assist the needy, especially the poor, women and men in the society.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
On the side of education.
Your 2 minutes are over.
On the side of education.
Okay, all right. 10 seconds, please.
On the side of education, I would really want to work on the early childhood section that you find that is not taken seriously, actually in most parts of Migori.
Okay.
So I'm going to make sure that most of our institutions, especially for the early childhood, is well taken care of.
Thank you.
On the side of infrastructure.
Your time is up. Your time is up. I'll come back to you later on. All right. Thank you so much. And finally, Honorable Chilayako, why do you want to be the governor of this county, beating all the contestants?
Well, thank you very much, Chris, and I want to thank the viewership and also the listenership of this program. KBC has given us an opportunity to compete on policies.
Right.
I did not run for public office in 2013 because at that time I thought my able brothers on this podium who were in parliament then would have seen the rot and would have desired to correct it. I waited until 2017, and when I saw them not throwing down the gauntlet and offering leadership, I said that my experience, my educational background, and my other skills cannot go to waste when nobody is coming forward to rescue Migori from poor governance. So I offered myself as a candidate to introduce an organizational culture that loves good governance, abhors corruption, division, nepotism, and inequality. I came forward, and for which the others did not come forward. I've always been passionate about good governance in Migori County, and that is atop my agenda, because without leadership and leadership culture will continue with the status quo that has been bad. I have also been concerned about the inequality and poverty, runaway poverty in Migori. So I'm running for governorship to ensure that there are more resources and there are more opportunities for our young and poor people to grow themselves and to share it with them.
Thank you so much. All right, so after that brief introduction from all the contestants, after that brief introduction from the contestants, I would love the member of the audience. You are really interfering with the debate. Kindly, keep calm. They can't hear you. Kindly keep calm. All right, let's go to the most thematic area. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about matters education, because we all know that, as I said, we've all gone through the system, and education is the only equalizer under the sun. But let me start with you, Byron. How do you tie the education that you have currently with the government's agenda of Vision 2030 in Migori County?
First of all, I want to tell you that I'm a living example of a quality education.
Right.
If I wasn't well educated, I would be standing on this podium. So therefore, education is a matter that if I ascend the office of the governor, I'm going to attend on it fully with full focus. So that brings me to my agenda on the education sector. Right now, if we look at the fourth schedule, gives county government a certain extent of power to construct polytechnics. But before that, I want to just mention one program that was ongoing in Migori County under education.
Right.
And I will want to adopt it because it was passed through a legislative act in the Migori County government. And initially, the outgoing governor was sponsoring up to 5 students per ward. I want to assure the people of Migori County that given the opportunity to serve them, I'm going to sponsor 1 student per polling station, and that is going to give me roughly 900 students per every financial year for governor scholarship.
Right.
2, I'm going to ensure once these kids or children are in governor scholarship, I'm going to talk with overseas universities so that the students that perform well at Form 4 level can go directly and study better courses on those overseas universities and come back. On the issue of polytechnics, I'm going to construct only 4 polytechnics in Migori County, distributed among the 8. And these 4, each polytechnic is going to have a specific role.
Right.
I'm going to major on the following. 1 polytechnic is going to be purely for sciences. The second polytechnic is going to be for technology. The third one is going to be for engineering. And the last one is going to be for mathematics.
And at what particular point will you achieve this? In a span of 5 years?
Right now I cannot achieve them because I'm not the governor. But once I say
once you get elected?
I'll do them. Because this is practical, this is not theory. This is practical, this is not theory. I want to assure you as we speak, those I've mentioned, those 5, are the future of this nation. You've heard one of us mention Baba the 5th. When Baba is talking about industrialization, then as a governor who is down here, I should think about technology and put something down here that is going to.
Your 2 minutes are over. Your 2 minutes are over. Let me get to Honorable Philip Mwabe. Education is a key pillar in the government's agenda, and I believe in your manifesto you have education somewhere. Could you please just tie your manifesto, education and Vision 2030 and how you're going to implement it in this particular county?
Well, it's not just somewhere, it is there.
Yes.
First of all, Chris, I hope you will not be doing the same pattern in every question. Then we'll be always answering first, and the other guy who was complaining that...
No. I'm the moderator. You'll follow my rules, sir. I'm the moderator.
You'll have a chance to give him a first question.
No. Okay. I'm the moderator.
When we look at a county, the county setup and the county government, our responsibility by constitution is the ECD.
Yes.
But however, we realize that because we are working in a system whereby you have access to things like bursaries and scholarships and the rest, we can partner with local higher education institutions and sponsoring projects or things which target what we want to do in Migori.
Yes.
My agenda for Migori is industrialization, and now everybody is talking about it, fine. But as you industrialize, as you put up processes for industries, you need to train a well-trained workforce which can work there. We will have to work with our TTIs and develop more TTIs. In fact, Migori has the lowest number of TVETs. I know only 2 in Korea, and 1 struggling in Migori, in Suna. But basically, we are going to promote all the TVETs so that we have technical training at the level where they can work in our industries. We will also improve on the TTI. I think there's only 1 TTI, but we need, TTI means Technical Training Institutes. Migori is ripe for more technical training institutes. We will also work on real skills, and industrialization is one of the main things. But above all, we have currently a university where we are, which we need to actually develop it to the level of having a teaching hospital.
Yes.
Because basically that's where we will have our referral hospital in.
All right.
So basically all this is what I will be working on in education to promote it, and not only just promote it, focus it to deliver in the way we can industrialize and be an export processing county.
Thank you so much, sir. Honorable Dalmas, you are decorated. You have got several students out there. Could you please just give me your agenda on education for Migori people?
I'm happy you know I have more than 800 students I've taken through the program. But now I'm thinking quality.
Yes.
Up to now, we are going to be under very serious threat.
Please just have your mic on, please.
We are going to be under very serious threat from the Chinese.
Right.
The Chinese, you are only not educated on academic level. You realize our system was those who are good academically, they went through the education system up to university. Those who are dropouts are the ones who went for technical training. The Chinese make sure that each person has both academic qualifications and technical capabilities.
Right.
We have to start thinking of that, because if the best student who went with 9 points to secondary, imagine if he knew some construction work, we would have better managed technical facilities in our county. So the career-based program will take priority in my governance in this Migori County. I've mentioned that if, for instance, you are a BSc Agriculture, I will not be satisfied with you being a BSc Agriculture only. I want to know if irrigation agriculture is included in your studies, and you would be a more competent manager of our irrigation facilities. I'm the one who prepared irrigation opportunities from Ugenya to Muhuru. And I'm the one who got, by negotiations with African Development Bank, 5 billion shillings for Oloch Kimera, 5 billion shillings for Oloch Kimera. I walked the two rivers, Rangwe and Oloch, and pointed out the place where the dam should be placed.
All right.
I'm the one who got 5 billion for Gogo. I walked with the contour map of the area and spotted Gogo and the irrigation facilities and a new dam site up the river Kuja, which I've also marked in that place.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm not.
Okay. Okay. All right, Mheshimiwa.
I'm telling you
as we continue with that.
Yes.
I believe your 2 minutes are over.
I can't even hear you.
All right.
I'm telling you this because I'm one of those who are the highest intellectual capacities.
All right.
Right from my secondary all the way up to university.
Thank you. It's now time for Rebecca. Rebecca, education is... all right. It's time for Rebecca. Rebecca, could you please just give me your agenda for education for Migori County?
Thank you very much. On the education sector, you all know that education is almost the backbone of any government.
Yes.
So under education, I look at education in 3 categories. I'll have sports and the growth of talents under education because I know Migori is full of talents, but they are not nurtured. So I'll concentrate on ensuring that the talents of Migori are nurtured. I remember there is an instance where there was African got a talent. Migori was represented by, was only represented by a professional mourner. So I want to nurture acceptable talents that will be accepted across the globe. And another thing that will be considered under education is gender. And in gender, I've said I'm looking at special interest groups where we have women, we have people living with disability, and we also have the elderly. Under gender, I'll ensure that this cadre of people are empowered, because I have already said that I borrow a lot from the bottom top approach, where I want to empower those that are below the cadre, those that are down there, those that have nothing, those people that not even have enough resources.
All right.
Lastly, on education, I want to ensure that the ECDs have modern classrooms, and also ensure that the VTCs are equipped with trained teachers.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, because education is a key pillar in the government's agenda. Now, let me come back to Honorable John Pesa.
Thank you.
What's your agenda for education for the people of Migori? What can they count and look for you in your government?
Thank you. To start with, I quite agree and appreciate that education plays a very major role in any nation. For you to develop, your people must be educated. They may not necessarily be very highly educated,
yes,
but at least they should have the knowledge, the basic knowledge that is required to navigate the economy. Now, one thing that I think I will appreciate, which I actually started, is the current governor-sponsored students. When I was in the 10th Parliament, I started in Migori in, I think, 2009, and took a sample of students from poor family backgrounds to Moi University. And those students are now serving this nation. Some are now medical doctors, some are engineers, and so on and so forth. So that is an element that any governor coming in should make sure that we continue with it. We should not encourage it. All we need to do is to improve on it. Now, we know that we have the basic education, the nursery, the ECD education, which is actually the basic education sector that the governor should be concerned about. We have our schools, whereby we teach our students at the moment at the lower levels. And we have a lot of problems when it comes to staffing in these schools. These schools need to be staffed properly. Apart from staffing, I need to ensure that each school gets adequate number of classrooms that all students should go into and learn, instead of some learning under trees.
Thank you so much, sir.
Apart from those two alone,
thank you.
We also need certain things that go with the young children. We need to get things like library for those young children. We need to get things like playing tools that these young men, girls and men, actually need.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Jen, your agenda for education?
My first priority is to make sure that our students who are performing and not being able to pay for their high schools and even colleges get the scholarships. We have this currently in the current government, but it is usually in groups. So we want to see it actualized, where we'll have students who will actually benefit and be seen to be moving forward from the same. We'll also try to improve on the infrastructure, especially on the early childhood sector, whereby we make sure that the classrooms that they are in are actually to the standard and have the right equipment for them. Now, another thing that we'll really make sure that we do, we've had, through connections, we'll be able to have scholarships even from abroad, where we can have most of our students taken and come back when they actually reach to the...
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. And finally, Dr. Chilayako, your education. You are a beneficiary of proper education. What is your agenda for the Migori County?
Thank you very much for appreciating the fact that I have been made what I am by the education that I was granted by the public of Kenya, and specifically the people of Migori. Now, I come into public service from the thinking, from the persuasion that education is a right that must be implemented for all of us. So different, or as an alternative from what my colleagues are proposing, I am proposing that my government will give access to education to majority of people, irrespective of their brilliance, irrespective of how wealthy or how poor they are. I started that policy long ago when I put up all the public day schools in Awendo and Rongo, because I knew that everybody desired to be educated, however humble the background they came from. So education is for improvement, education is for productivity, and as a governor, I will not just look into ECD. I know that there are many people who require technical knowledge. So we will look at infrastructure. For instance, our young persons who need education in a technical sense for purposes of productivity. We look at the infrastructure, we look at the staff who are supposed to train them, and we'll equip those polytechnics that are now purporting with polytechnics but are actually places where no education is done. We will also give access to bursaries to those who are in a technical and tertiary institution, but I'll align my policies. I will align my policies to the policies of Raila Amolo Odinga, because I know he will give free education to everybody from primary school to secondary school. So what we will do, besides what my government will do, because I've heard my colleagues talking about bursaries, my government will offer other supportive opportunities, like buying clothing, like buying other things, because President Raila is going to offer it free from primary to university.
Thank you. So I think we agreed that you're really interfering with the audience. They can't even hear you. So please, gentlemen, they can't. It's their time to talk. It's their time. Kindly, if you're supporting a candidate, it's their time to talk to the entire nation. Kindly, keep calm, please. Okay, to the next question, and this is going to be random right now. Starting with you, still Daktari, do you know the total revenue that is given to Migori County annually from the national government?
Before I got to Senate, it was 7.4 billion.
Thank you.
When I joined Senate, we worked very hard at it and added to that 1.2 billion.
Right.
So Migori gets about, or on average, 8.4 billion.
Very well.
From the exchequer and from locally collected revenue.
So let's give it a figure of 8 billion shillings annually. So what would you do with this amount? All right. What you do with this amount a day after you are sworn into office and you have got the executive powers, what you do with these 8 billion shillings to uplift the lives of over 1 million people in this particular county? It will be random to all of you, starting with you, Dr.
Currently, the outgoing governor or outgoing county government is busy employing people without defining what productive activities they would engage in that would benefit the people of Migori.
Yes.
My first business would be to ensure that the runaway wage bill is reduced to the regulated minimum of below 35. Currently, the recurrent expenditure is so high that very little money is left for development. So I'll ensure that there is fiscal and budgetary discipline, and we will only sustain a wage bill that is within what is prescribed in the PFM Act. Secondly, we will prioritize building capacity in equipping our staff so that they are not just staff by title, but they are productive staff in health, they are productive staff in roads, they are productive staff in all the services that our people require. Then we will set aside resources for areas like health. We will ensure that our hospitals are well staffed and are also well equipped and well supplied with the pharmaceutical products. We'll go into the areas of agriculture and ensure that we have the right technology, the right seeds, the right fertilizers, and the right equipment to make our people productive, among other things. Our agenda will be actually to make our people efficient, effective in terms of service delivery, and productive in terms of earning. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And at this particular point, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take a break even for the lizard gentlemen in front of here to have their sips of water, and then we come back. We're still going to have that discussion in terms of matters health, economy and agriculture as far as this debate is concerned. So let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Sent you here to kill me, right?
Brother, I'll get you out of here.
You're not at the Frosty Hole?
Kieran was taken away by the princess.
What did you say?
I'm here to see the prince.
His Highness has ordered. No one is allowed to come in.
This woman is trouble. Shouldn't she be serving tea? What is she doing here?
Genova, you leaving again? For how long?
We shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
hakuna kura ya hasla mtaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
Under the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta, programs that support young people to reach their potential in line with Generation Unlimited goals have been implemented.
In sum, we are telling our youth that the only way to become a change maker in Generation Unlimited is to confront their fears. Do what you are afraid of, so long as it's positive.
The
fundamental goal of GENU is to make sure that by 2030, all young people aged 10 to 24 are either in school, in training, or working.
I came here and I was trained on transcription, I was trained on online writing, I was trained on social media marketing, among others.
Differently.
Once you already have like an LPU, evidence that you're able to deliver, somehow you start getting into the system. So persistence in business is very important. Even if you're getting those small ones, as much as you're aiming for the higher ones, the small ones are a source of encouragement.
I can see the results in the students' eyes. I can see the joy that music brings to them, and that completes me.
We're differently abled, differently.
And welcome back. Is now another second session of the gubernatorial debate coming to you live from Rongo University College, and we have got an amazing guest, and the audience here are also lively. All right, so let's get this show on the road. Let me start with you, Rebecca. I said it's going to be random. Allow me to ask you this question about the amount of money that whatever you do with that the revenue that's given from the national government. What will you do with that amount of money if you're elected governor of this particular county? In 2 minutes.
Thank you. As I indicated earlier, I will treat the budget as one of my RRI activities, something that I want to achieve within 100 days. I will ensure that the budget on the table is reviewed, because I am very sure that this year's budget has been done. But my first activity is to ensure that that budget is reviewed, because I understand I'm a Migorian, I've worked in that county government.
Yes.
The allocation for this budget, depending on which docket the money is allocated to, sometimes is a tertiary need. So I want to ensure that more amount is given to basic dockets like agriculture, water, and health. That is what I want to do with that budget. I also want to ensure that the health sector is devolved fully. We have had so many health centers and dispensaries built by the county government currently, which are just empty buildings. So I want to ensure that those buildings are equipped with medicine and the right personnel. We don't have to have all Migorians travel from far and wide to come to a level 5 when they have dispensaries at their reach. And on agriculture, again, I want to ensure that I invest a lot in the local and the modern farming, rather than importing, because we import food sometimes, food that we can grow so easily in Migori County.
Thank you so much. Next is Dalmas Utieno, Honorable. National revenue, you have the money in the account of the national county government. How would you distribute this money, and how would you use it?
The law expects us that at least 30% of that money should go into development.
Yes.
And it should be development defined in a manner that it is actual development, not where you hide some recurrent in the national development budget. This amount clearly is not enough for the counties, the 8 billion we are talking about. And I think one of the leading candidates has already told us we should expect 35%, and we shall be very grateful if 35% would be divided to the counties, and the figure will go way beyond the 8 billion which we have now. Now, once you have it, that you only have 24 billion for development expenditure, and the rest is recurrent expenditure, you have to address efficiency in public services. Then you have to give priority to which development activities you must start with. Me, I would start with agriculture, and it is value addition agriculture, which I can explain using the potato plant, which is already in place but has not started operations. What we will do is agree with the farmers based on the land they are willing to allocate for potato production. Once we have given that to them, we would be able to estimate what it takes to plow the land, what it takes to harrow the land, what it then takes to plant the land, the fertilizer that may be required, what it costs to weed, what it will finally cost to harvest. Each person, A may give me 2 acres, B may give me 1.5, D may give me 3, and so on.
Thank you.
Now, these people require the cash to effectively engage in productive agriculture with value addition next door. I mentioned before that we would need cooperative financing. So part of the development budget will be allocated in promoting cooperative financing. The members who will form, say, a potato farming cooperative will be contributing to that fund, and the county government will also be contributing to that fund.
Thank you so much, sir.
Then we manage it
Your 2 minutes are
with
over, sir.
proper auditing from the Ministry of Cooperative. So that all the faulty thefts and so on, somebody used the word
Thank
there,
you. Thank you so much.
will not apply in this
Let me
situation.
come to Jen. With 1.1 million, population of this particular county, and it's bordering different counties as we speak, including our neighboring country, Tanzania. And with that total amount given from the national government, how would you distribute that money so that the local mwananchi can feel the weight of that expenditure?
I want to believe that the biggest problem that we are having, even with the 8 billion that is gotten to Migori County, is corruption.
All right.
So my first fight will be against this vice, whereby the 30% that will be met for the sixth agenda that I have, that is education, health, infrastructure, agriculture, and all this, actually will have to be realized on the ground. Like, for example, making sure that if it is health, the hospitals are well equipped. Now, some of the hospitals that we are having are actually in very pathetic positions. So we will make sure that this money that is gotten actually goes to the real cause. Because even when we talk of the money that goes in for salaries, we are having problems where workers, the nurses, the teachers for early childhood are never paid in time. So I'll make sure that money that is allocated before we start fighting for the other bigger budget is actually put to the right usage. I'll also want to talk about water, where, like, for example, a budget is put. We are told, like, the current government that we are having had a budget of 2 boreholes in the 40 sub-counties, that each ward was supposed to get 2 boreholes.
2 boreholes, right?
And the boreholes were never done. And all these were because of corruption. So I think the biggest vice that we are having, and why our people are not experiencing what they are supposed to be getting, is because of corruption. So I think my biggest fight will be to make sure that even with this 8 billion that is given to the county is actually put in right usage.
All right. Thank you so much. Honorable John, 8 billion in the account of the national county government. You are in charge. You've heard what your competitors have. What do you have for them?
Well, when I take over the government later this year, I will not only be concerned with the 8 billion we are talking about. My first key point will be to ensure that the taxes collected also go and are banked in the treasury, so that that money is actually accounted for. What my sister said and what the others have said, the most important problem we have in Africa, and in fact in Kenya and Migori, is this idea of lack of transparency. People are not doing the right thing. Money is there, but if you go to our hospitals today, you will never get medicine. Why should there be no medicine when there is money for that medicine? So the first thing that I will have to fight, and I will lead by example, I will ensure that the money that is meant to buy medicine does just that. The money that is meant to go and dig boreholes in schools that I mentioned earlier, we'll have to do that work. And by doing that one, I must bring in public participation so that people are involved in what I am doing. Without that one, people will not support you in any way.
Thank you so much. Honorable Mwabe, you've heard what the ladies and gentlemen have said. What about you? 9 billion, 8 billion in your account. You are the boss.
Yes.
So what do you do with this money?
8 billion looks a lot if you don't get into the details, but it may not be. As the national government gives this 8 billion, it's given against already a budget which has been submitted. My first priority will be to look at that budget and spend on that budget prudently with the aim of making savings from key areas they're budgeted on so that my next year's budget will be more reflective of my agenda. So the first, you can't go in and start changing the budget because it's already there. Money has been given. The only thing is to disburse it prudently and make sure that you understand each line item where it goes. I know in that budget, for instance, there is about 100 million put in there for the construction of the county headquarters, which has not been constructed for the last 10 years. And that is one of my priority areas. I will look at that and see how we can have Migori County have a proper headquarters rather than being in the Debe houses of the county council where they are. There are other areas where I have priority, and I know they are covered there. They may not be covered in that budget in the ratio I would like. But the only way to do my ratio in the following year is to spend it prudently as per that, the way they put it, and then go ahead and make a better budget for the following year.
Very well. Thank you, sir. And finally, Byron, what about you?
Thank you so much. 8 billion is not a pocket change.
It's not a pocket change.
And of course,
all right. Okay.
And of course, it will require adequate planning and its administration. Number one, I'll look into my policies or my blueprint as I take office, and I'll look at those that require, those are short-term and long-term policies, and adequately budget for them with what is there. I'll also try so much to determine what goes per particular department in the country, from water to agriculture to all sectors.
Yes.
Then lastly, I'll also ensure that this money is accounted for through the IFMI system with total adherence to the Public Procurement Act of 2015, so that all the monies that we get as a county are well accounted for and none is squandered through corruption. Just to add on it, I'll also ensure that we have an internal control system that will ensure that this 8 billion is going directly to the people through proper channels. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. Very well. You've heard what they've said. But then let me come to you, Honorable John Pesa. We all understand that Sony Sugar is a sleeping giant. And for those people who come from this region, they really depended on Sony Sugar. It's a sugar belt. But we've all heard what happens with the Sony Sugar. What is the agenda for that particular infrastructure and industry?
Sony Sugar is a very difficult area to talk about because it involves ourselves.
Yes.
You know, one thing that we have in Kenya today is that farmers are struggling to ensure that they produce sugarcane. But then at the same time, the market is closed somewhere. Instead of allowing them to sell their sugar, other people that are actually our leaders import sugar to this country. And if they continue doing that one, it means the farmer will not get a market for their sugar.
Yes.
So the first thing I think we should do in Migori is to ensure that we behave like leaders so that we don't get involved in this idea of corruption whereby we import sugar.
You were in parliament before. What did you do to resolve that issue?
Exactly. Yes, we'll have to talk to ourselves. There's nothing, you cannot force them if they are there. But if you discover who they are, then at least we have to take them to the courts so that they change those attitudes. And I think this is what our Kenyans are complaining about. Because sugar can be produced in Sony, sugar can be produced anywhere in South Nyanza, where, of course, we have enough rain. But then the problem, where do the farmers sell their sugar?
Yes.
They have no market. And that is the main problem that we have in Kenya today.
Okay. Dr. Chilayako, you come from this area, and we all know that perhaps, do you sometimes sleep at night and say Sony Sugar is a sleeping giant and you're just okay with it? Does it worry you?
I am, among all my competitors, the most affected and the most hurt by the status or the situation in which the dependents, both workers, farmers, and the traders of Sony are affected, the way they are affected. It hurts me personally. It also hurts generally those who work together with me. The problem that Sony has always had at a national level is similar to the problems that other public-owned mills have had. Importation of sugar that creates a glut in the market. But that's just the national problem. The real problem here is neglect of farmers, so that farmers are no longer interested in growing cane because it does not give returns to them, which will be addressed. The second problem is the mill that is old and therefore is inefficient when it comes to milling sugarcane and makes the cost of doing so very high. The third problem is governance, corruption. So what we have done and continue to do is to get the national government, and I've had very close discussions with Raila Amolo Odinga, and he's the one I believe will be president. He has promised, and the outgoing president also promised, that Sony will have a new mill so that the issue of inefficiency will be addressed. A lot of resources that will be put into farming has also been set aside, and my government will set aside additional resources to assist farmers with productivity when it comes to cane milling. We will also do the roads. And most importantly, we will create a stabilizing fund so that as Sony delays for one reason or other in paying the farmers, the county government can discount those invoices, have the farmers paid immediately so that they continue farming as we wait for the payments from Sony.
As you're speaking, Jen was looking at you like, what are you saying? Jen, what do you have about Sony Sugar? I could see from her facial expression. Yes.
Because I want to believe Senate is supposed to act as a prefect of the county. And this problem of sugar is not only happening in Migori, but in all the other mills that produces sugar. So I think the best thing for this is to be actually handled from that level.
Okay, you can hold your mic. Hold your mic, please. Thank you.
The best is to have it handled from that level. Secondly, I want to believe that even the rate of production is somehow more expensive. So farmers are realizing that they are spending just too much in producing the sugar. And so most of them are losing interest because after production, there's no proper market for it. They're losing interest and turning into others. So I want to believe that once we get this position, we'll work together with the other governors who have the same. And actually through our senators that time, they push this through the national government and see how the problem can be tackled. So that we produce our sugar and that sugar should be used here and they avoid importing sugar from outside.
Thank you so much. Honorable Dalmas, you know, when you talk about Rongo, you talk about sugarcane and Sukari Nguru. But then Sony Sugar was one of the biggest sugar suppliers in Nyanza and South Nyanza in general. You have been in, all levels of governance up to this particular point. Now, what are you going to do next to make sure that that mill, that factory is resuscitated and the farmers in this particular region get back to life?
The Sony problem can be seen into three parts.
Right.
The first one is facilities for the sugarcane farmers, where you will need a fund to be able to ensure effective production of cane and then timely payment of any cane harvested.
Yes.
The second component would be the factory itself, where some of the machinery or parts of the machinery are too old and need to be replaced or rehabilitated. The third component is the financial one. Sony was started without any capital. Government only bought the nucleus estate. The rest were loans from different institutions. These loans have accumulated penalties, and Sony now has over 3 billion shillings in loans that actually should be written off.
Can that be sorted out?
Yes, because the government appointed a committee of experts to look at all the sugar factories in the country. And one of their recommendations was the excess Sony debt should be written off.
All the other factories are different explanations. So this thing I'm telling you of the three parts, what do you do for the cane farmers? What do you do for the factory? What do you do for the company? Are all laid out there as the experts have recommended. In brief, just implement the experts' report on Sony reforms and rehabilitation, and we'll be back to where Sony started. Then after that, have a competent management.
All right.
Then a competent supply system, including tendering. Because here is a case where spare parts that should be supplied for 1 million are being supplied at 3 million.
And that is what she told about corruption.
Now, what is all that
corruption.
other 2 million doing? So whatever is corruption, whatever is inefficiency, whatever is absurd can be addressed, and Sony will be competitive.
All right.
Of course, finally, sugar importation has to be regulated. The law required sugar importation to be regulated.
Thank you.
But the powers that be have been killing us double.
Thank you.
First, they supply Sony expensively, and second, use the profit from Sony to import sugar from outside the country.
Thank you so much. You know what? All right. Byron, let me come to you. When you've heard all the gentlemen talk about, it's about importation of sugar, corruption, but one thing that you have to understand is that most of the farmers have actually left sugarcane farming and have gone into subsistence farming. Does it worry you?
It worries me as the next governor because they are left at the mercies of the cartels, the sugar barons who are putting our factories down. So this is what I'm going to do. All of them are still sticking to Sony Sugar operating. To every problem, there's an alternative. I'm going to set up 2 brown sugar milling factories in Migori County, one in Uriri and one in Suna, so that if the cartels insist, if the cartels still think that Sony is going to be their property, they can have Sony. I have my farmers with a functional factory. And number 2, I will not just ensure that there's a milling plant in those 2 constituencies. Recently, you see counties are competing in what are we exporting to the outside world, international market.
Yes.
I will, as a governor, ensure that products of Migori County, not only sugar, but all are going out and they have a substantial market. And therefore, my farmers are not going to be held hostage by state barons. We want a very progressive agriculture, and that touches all sectors.
All right, thank you so much. All right, at this particular point, I'd love to introduce my colleague Nancy Okwari, but before then, I'll come to you, Honorable Mwabe, and as well as Rebecca, I'll come back to you. But let's go to Nancy to give us a feel on what the audience and some of the questions that they have for us before we come back to the panel discussion. Nancy, what do you have from the other side of the audience?
Naam, shukran sana mwenzangu Victor. Kwa kweli mtazamaji, mengi yamesemwa na wale wawaniaji ambao wamewasili hapa, na kama nilivyokuwa nimekuarifu ni kwamba nitakuwa nasoma tu baadhi ya maswali ambayo yamewasili hasa kupitia kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. At Amanga Mustafa anasema, through practicals, would wish Ochilo and Dalmas to explain how they will accommodate the minorities like Maragolis in their government. And we also have Alan saying, we have gold in Migori. How are they planning to go about it? I think that is on matters exploitation. And we have D. Wangoma is asking about education. Are you promising to build new institutions or advancing the existing ones? We also have another question. How do they intend to transform healthcare so that healthcare workers are more supportive and positive and have a positive attitude towards healthcare seekers, especially in public facilities, and also ensure that drugs are available, health services are more responsive to community issues, and community health volunteers get monthly stipends? There's another question. What's their plan to ensure that public participation is robust? For the past 19 years, we still do not have a policy on public participation. Then the final question is on the county headquarters. The proposed county headquarters has been allocated funds for 3 financial years in a row amounting to 3 million shillings. There is nothing on the ground so far. So what's their perspective on constructing a new county headquarters at Lichota, and using which funds? So Victor, that's all we have from our social media platforms. Back to you.
Absolutely. Wow. We have got several, and people are watching. If you have got any question, you can send them and we'll be sampling them during this particular debate. But then, before we get to that, I hope that you have all the questions raised. The issue of gold, which not far away from here, is an effect. The issue of education that we talked about earlier, beginning, and the issue of the headquarters. One of the contestants raised the issue of headquarters being not in place. And finally, what is your role and your view in terms of public participation? But let me come to you, Mwabe, and let's talk about the issue that we talked about from Sony Sugar, and then I come to you, Rebecca, as we go to the next bit. What is your take on Sony Sugar? It's a thorny issue, and we can't run away from this. Right.
The problem is we are politicians, and we sometimes promise things which are beyond us. Sony Sugar, we're only talking of Sony Sugar, or we come into Sony Sugar, one, because agriculture is devolved.
Yes.
But two, farmers have delivered sugarcane, and some of them have gone for 10 years or 5-6 years before they are paid. I think those are the issues which we can address. How do we get money to pay our farmers? We pay them off, and then look at agriculture, how it should be sustainable. But beyond that, Sony Sugar is a private company. And this is not the only private company in the world which has had problems with communities. Even in the 1980s, the United Kingdom had same problems with coal mines collapsing when communities depended on that.
Right.
What I'm saying here is that when we look at Sony Sugar less, one thing is, had somebody say, Baba the fifth, he can talk with the fifth. One thing is the national government should bring in a kitty and we pay the debts to the farmers. Close that chapter. Number two, once you've paid that debt to the chapter, as a private company, there's something fundamentally make it very difficult to run them. And it's not only Sony Sugar, Chemelil Sugar, Mumia Sugar, and all this sugar.
Yes.
The reason that is, if you're in a production process, whether you're making a Boeing 747 or the rest, you must be in control of your inputs coming in as you sell. So that when you're making this aircraft, already these inputs are coming in. What you end up is the structural arrangement in Kenya is whereby a farmer wakes up in the morning in Lichota with his wife, plants sugarcane, go there to get some seeds, plant it, but it's not planned that in 18 months' time, it is in the production process of Sony Sugar to come and receive it. So basically, it will still create problems when you think you encourage farmers to grow sugarcane, but they are not in control of the production process, the maintenance process, and all this. So basically, my belief is I can only lobby the national government to pay off the farmers, because politically that is unfair to have taken their sugar.
Thank you very much.
After that, I think as a private company, they have to find out, and that's where my agenda is, we need to establish other processing industries so that we don't rely on one big...
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And finally, we have got Rebecca. And when we come back after Rebecca, the questions raised from the social media, I'll also come back to you randomly so that you can raise and can answer to them. Rebecca, please, go ahead.
Thank you. This is what I have to say on Sony Sugar. Majorly, Sony Sugar has two major issues. That is management or governance issues. One, the board of management of that particular company is wanting. You look at the people that are serving in that board and wonder whether they really know what they are supposed to be doing as a board of directors, because they are serving like personal interests. The appointment of those board of directors should also be, I think, should be done through public participation.
Yes.
Because currently we have board of directors and board chairs who are appointed by, I think, self-centered leaders. So that is one major problem that we have in Sony Sugar. Another problem that is in Sony Sugar is the colonial motors and machines that are still being used there. I think as a people, when something has expired, we need to renew and replace with the new technology. So I think as a member of the Council of Governors, I will also speak to the national government to ensure that the report, the ad hoc report that has been set aside to look at the sugar factories is implemented to the latter.
All right. Okay.
Finally, I want to say that the leadership of that management should be shifted to the, I think we should inject the new blood and the gender issue in that particular leadership for us to bring change.
All right. Thank you so much. So the next bit is the response from the social media, and this one is going to be rather short, 1 minute each, because we're almost coming to the end of the session. Let me start with you, Byron. The social media question raised about the gold mine, the issue of education, which you also tackled. I think we can leave that one aside because we have tackled it. The county headquarters, there's a question raised, and finally public participation. What is your take? I'll come back to you randomly. 1 minute each, kindly.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I want to say that it is in my attention as a gubernatorial candidate that gold in Migori is not profiting my people because of too many middlemen. If I take office, I'll eliminate these middlemen, and my government will be dealing with them directly and giving them markets directly, nationally and internationally. On the issue of education, I want to tell my dear sister that for those existing educational facilities, we will strengthen. But where there is lack, we will construct others. And I'll ensure they have libraries, physical ones, and e-library with accessible internet.
All right.
On the issue of healthcare and health facilities, there are some hospitals that are being called sub-county hospitals that doesn't even qualify. That, I mean, Migori level 4, which is in Suna East, that some are going to say we'll upgrade it to level 5.
Thank you.
It will remain a sub-county hospital. I'll construct a county referral and teaching hospitals.
Thank you.
That will remain at that level.
Thank you.
On the issue of public participation.
It was 1 minute, Byron. Kindly, it was 1 minute.
We have
please.
To respond to them.
No. It was 1 minute. That's the rule of the game. Coming to you, sir.
On the,
1 minute.
On the headquarters?
Yes, go ahead,
yes,
sir.
If you look at my manifesto says clearly, let's face Lechota. We call it there, let's face Nyanchabo. That is where the county headquarters will be or is, and where its money is being spent without being built.
Yes.
I promise that I will be elected on the 9th, and on the 10th, I'll be sworn in a Debe house at Nyanchabo at the county headquarters. I will not go back to Migori.
Okay.
The reason is Nyanchabo presents the best opportunity for Migori to uplift itself. We have over 1,000 acres there of land, which is government land. Lake Basin Development Authority was there. We have the airstrip there. We need the headquarters there. We need even the second university after this university there. And the only way as a governor to focus that in terms of industrialization and the rest is to have my office there, whether it is in a Debe house, I'll carry my hand on that day.
Now that's fair enough. Yes, Mheshimiwa.
Let me talk about mining.
Yes.
We just don't have gold. It is gold and other. It is gold and other minerals. The artisan mining process as of now is too risky for our people. We need that sector to be better organized in a manner that it will be possible for the county government to chip in resources that would facilitate better production in a safer manner by our artisan miners. We may have to put them into cooperatives in particular areas for particular mining facilities and be able to support them. If they continue as they are doing now, we'll begin to have foreigners coming to exploit them much more than they are even doing now. We do not want our people to lose those mining capabilities that they have developed over the period. And specific support is necessary for them.
Thank you so much, sir, for that one. Rebecca, we all agreed 1 minute each. Thank you so much for that. Kindly go ahead.
Thank you. Allow me to talk about consideration and consideration of minority groups in my government. I know Migori is very highly cosmopolitan, and it is believed that we have the Luo being a majority, we have the Koreans being maybe the second majority, and many other small groups in Migori County. This is what I want to consider in my cabinet. I'll ensure that all communities are represented. We will have one minister representing the small communities at the cabinet level. because in the former cabinet, we had communities that are really present in Migori, a community like the Somali, the Abasuba, who are significantly absent from the decision-making organs. So I'll ensure that all communities are considered in decision-making organs in my government.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is a case of public participation. Thank you so much. Mheshimiwa, John Pesa.
Thank you. I want to talk about public participation in regards to the headquarters that has also been cited here. I think the main problem that we have about the headquarters in Migori is that there wasn't enough public participation when somebody decided to remove it from where it is to where Lichota side. I know Lichota has land, but is that land really a government land? Because you cannot take a project and take it to some private land and you say that is your land. So this is where public participation comes in. If people were asked, they should have told the government at that time that that land we are talking about is not public land, therefore we cannot take the headquarters at that place. Actually, I want to tell you that in the 10th Parliament, if you look at what we did there, we said that the headquarters of Migori was to be within the municipality of Migori. And that, of course, falls between Lichota and where it is today. But then the problem is that people did not involve the people who are stakeholders in deciding where the headquarters should be, when now they wanted to change it.
Thank you so much, sir. That's gentleman enough for 1 minute. Let me come to you, Jen.
Me, I'll concentrate on the health issue.
Yes.
Whereby I'll want to say that we are having problems on that side because most of the doctors are never paid on time. And you know, when a doctor is not paid on time, then you don't expect much from there. And that is why we are having really problems when it comes to health sector.
Yes.
We are also having a problem of drugs, where drugs are offered in terms of air. These drugs are never delivered there, and in case they happen to be there, they disappear the next morning. So I tend to think a lot needs to be taken to make sure that the drugs that are taken in these hospitals are actually well computerized, whereby if there is a miss, then it is easily identified. We also need the right human resource in these hospitals, whereby we'll have the right number of doctors, right number of clinical officers, nurses, and all the human resources that is needed in this institution.
Thank you so much, madam.
And lastly, please, I also want to talk about the physical.
His time.
You go to some of these hospitals, even beddings are not there. So I think a lot needs.
Thank you so much. All right. Dr. finally coming to you.
Thank you very much. I'll speak to the three issues using one-liners. One, gold. The problem of gold mining is conflict of interest by the leadership that is going home. They are the miners, they are the ones licensing, and the ones regulating. That conflict of interest will not happen under my watch. The problem of health is that we have institutions pretending to be facilities, so we will build them, we will equip them, employ and motivate medical staffs, then supply them with health consumables or pharmaceuticals, monitor how they are used, and eliminate theft. The last point is the proposed headquarters. My model is not to concentrate on centralization in the county. I had indicated that every sub-county headquarters will be activated. Rongo will be made vibrant. They will have all departments. Awendo will have all the departments, Uriri, Nyatike, Kuria East, Kuria West, Suna East, and Suna West. It's not logical to ask our people to go and jam Migori because they are looking for little services. Devolution was intended to take services from the county to devolve them to as close as possible to our people. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. And it's now 11:25 p.m. We started this show at exactly 8. We started the Radio Mayenga. They took 1.5 hours, and now an extension to 11, almost 11:30. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you so much. This is the longest show that we've had so far after all these 7 episodes. Radio Mayenga and KBC TV Channel 1. Honorable Byron Oginga of LDP, thank you so much for coming. Philip Mwabe, an independent candidate, thank you so much for honoring the invite. Dalma Sotieno of Jubilee Party, thank you so much for coming over as well. We have got Rebecca Gatti Maroa of UDA, asante sana for coming. We have got John Dachepesa of DAPK. Thank you so much for honoring the invite. Jen Maronga of UPIA, asante sana, and family, Joe Ochilo Daktari of Diksha of ODM. Thank you so much for coming. And that is where we call it a wrap. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Let's do this again. Good night.
I'd like to officially welcome you to the coolest club in the 254. In other words, this is the best